This is my post-fight reaction to Miyo Yoshida versus Shurretta Metcalf. Was a very good fight. We didn't get to see the first fight because not a lot of footage on the first fight, but this rematch they had, which was a for IBF Bantamweight World Championship, was a very good fight. 2 minute rounds. I thought Metcalf came out in the first round very aggressive. The jab was on point. The first 5 or 6 rounds, I felt like the jab was on point. Yoshida took a lot of time to use her jab. Wasn't really throwing the jab that much early on. She was more so countering and looking to throw a 1-2, which was landing a lot. She was looking to throw the right hand a lot more. And as she got confidence in landing the right hand, she later on started throwing a jab, the 1-2 down the middle. And it caused some problems for Metcalf just to adjust, and she was smothering her punches a little bit. But she did enough to stand back and still have enough range to throw the jab, throw the right hook. That right hand for Metcalf was keeping Yoshida in check. She really didn't want to rush in at all. Caused a lot of issues throughout the fight. But I think Metcalf did a good job. Yoshida didn't know what to do in the fight, honestly, early on, because she was coming into the fight already with a loss. And she really didn't have much of a strategy. As the fight went on, she realized that if she can go back to the jab and go to the body and just go straight down the middle with her punches and try not to be in range and so far out away from Metcalf to the point where she can be at the end of her punches, because Metcalf got her in as far as reach and height. So her being far out, that was going to be in Metcalf's advantage. So she was at a disadvantage being on the outside. And once she started being the inside early on, she started throwing double punches, like punching with both hands, which was something that was, if it scores, it scores. It caused some issues. It was kind of awkward. So obviously you think somebody going in the clinch and then they just punch you with both hands. We've seen it before, like someone said early on, Joseph Parker was doing that in a fight. So we've seen boxers do it before. But I just felt like the jab should have been something she should have focused on early on. And if she would have started a lot faster, that could have caused Metcalf some issues. But Metcalf was too fast with the jab. The speed was there. She was all over the place. She had Yoshida not wanting to take a risk until later on in the fight. Early on, she did not want to take a lot of risk. I don't know if she wanted to take too much damage, if she felt like the jab was too much, because Yoshida is also someone who kickboxed before, so she knows about the action and being able to take a kick to the face. So I'm not too sure she's I don't think she's scared of any action as far as rushing in and catching a huge blow. So for her to kind of wait back a little bit and sit back to see what Metcalf was doing at times, I feel like they played in Metcalf's favor. Metcalf wasn't at a point where she had to wait and figure out what Yoshida was doing. She was always in control most of the fight. By the time Yoshida started to get some kind of control, I think the fight was starting to get out of hand as far as the score. And at that point, it was just out of hand. Metcalf was just consistent the whole fight. It was almost to the point where it looked like the way that O'Shaquie Foster was dominating in one of those fights. I don't think the Castasiot fight, but it was a lot closer than that fight. But at the same time, she was still putting on that type of performance. And the jab and combinations too much. Yoshida needed to start earlier, man. I can't say that enough. She didn't start earlier, and waited too long. And to be honest with you, if you fought somebody the last fight just 12 months ago, you should be trying to start off from round 11. You know what I'm saying? You already had 10 rounds, so this should be 11 round, 12, all the way down to 20. But she didn't start the fight off like that. She started the fight off like this was her first time fighting Metcalf. And it wasn't. And by the way this fight was started off, you can kind of tell who was the person that lost the last fight, who was the person that won, because that person came in very aggressive, on fire, confident. The jab was very active. Didn't have to really think about it. It was second nature. Yoshida had to think about the jab, and by the time that was active, the fight was getting out of hand already. And she went away from the combinations to start throwing jabs late in the fight. So that lets you know where that fight was leading towards. She didn't want to get towards the exchanges, because Metcalf wasn't really trying to get into the exchanges as much. She would exchange, and she was exchanging, but she wasn't forcing it. But she was being aggressive. She was shooting out that jab, but Yoshida was throwing out them combinations. But as soon as Metcalf started throwing them combinations, Yoshida went to the jab, she went to the 1-2, and that was it. But that was a very good fight, though.